When Gu Yansheng arrived to propose marriage as agreed, I waited behind the screen, my heart brimming with joy. Yet I heard him propose marrying both me and my elder sister. The first lady asked him, "Who shall be the principal wife?" He answered calmly, "The legitimate daughter shall be the principal wife." My elder sister gloated, "Shen Dai, accept your fate. You'll never surpass me." She pushed aside the screen, forcing me to face Gu Yansheng. Everyone expected me to throw a fit, but instead I flushed crimson and produced a jade token, rejecting the marriage on the spot. "Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness, but King Dai is already betrothed to another. I shall not become a concubine in the Duke's household." "King Dai, to whom are you betrothed? When was this arranged? How come neither I nor your father knew?" The first lady narrowed her eyes. The entire capital knew Gu Yansheng and I were soulmates, needing only a marriage contract. She refused to believe I'd secretly pledged myself to another. I presented the jade token, cheeks flushed crimson. "Mother, 7 days ago, Xiao Chunan sought my hand in marriage. I accepted. This jade token is proof." The air hung heavy for a moment. "Xiao Chunan, His Excellency the Ninth?" Father snapped to attention, examining the jade token in disbelief. "It is indeed His Excellency's private order. But you. He trailed off, unable to continue. The first lady, who had been poised to rebuke me for violating a woman's duty, also clamped her mouth shut. Xiao Chunan, who commanded the Imperial Guard, was notoriously arrogant. Rumor had it that anyone who angered this demonic figure would see their entire family meet a grim fate. They could only tread carefully now. But my elder sister, Shen Liujiu, refused to accept this. She had dragged me to the main hall to eavesdrop on the marriage talks just to see me humiliated. "Sister, what does a jade token prove? You wouldn't have concocted such a clumsy lie just because the young Marquis named me his primary wife, hoping to force him to take you as a secondary wife, would you?" Gu Yansheng's expression shifted slightly as he lifted his gaze to meet mine. I lowered my eyelashes. "Sister, choose your words carefully. Whom the young Marquis marries as his primary wife is none of my concern. If His Excellency the Ninth Prince were to hear such talk, King Dai, Lord Xiao is a eunuch. How could he possibly marry? If he truly intended to wed you, why has he not formally proposed? You resent me for making you a concubine, but you shouldn't refuse the marriage in this manner." Before he could finish, Gu Yansheng cut him off. A fleeting, concealed disdain flashed in his eyes. Yet his tone remained ambiguous. "King Dai, no more nonsense today." "Nonsense? Young Marquis, regardless of your thoughts, I cannot marry into the Duke's household. Please take back the marriage contract." I retrieved my copy of the marriage contract and handed it directly back to Gu Yansheng. The air grew icy cold. He seemed frozen in his chair, his expression darkening to a terrifying shade. "King Dai, are you truly determined to do this?" I nodded, lifted my face, and tore the marriage contract in my hand into 2 pieces, tossing them on the ground like discarded trash. "Gu Yansheng, henceforth we shall part ways without a trace. Spring mountains like ink, grass like smoke." King Dai extends her heartfelt wishes for the young Marquis and my elder sister to cherish each other forever, growing old together in love. News of my refusal spread swiftly throughout the estate. My mother, whom I hadn't seen in half a year, summoned me to the Buddhist hall. "Dayer, marrying into the Duke's household has always been your heart's desire. Why then?" Amidst the haze of incense, Mother's face was pale, her brow heavy with worry. Ever since Gu Yansheng publicly vowed to marry me at the Changping Poetry Gathering a year prior, Mother had believed my fate was sealed. She grew even more devout in the Buddhist hall, forbidding me from visiting her, fearing her origins as a concubine might tarnish my marriage prospects. Day and night, Mother prostrated before the Buddha, praying for my swift marriage into the Duke's household to escape the torment of the First Lady and Shen Liujiu. Yet, as if fearing the worst, This promising match has now gone awry. Mother, you know I won't be a concubine. I clasped Mother's hand. Having lived cautiously within the Shen household for 16 years, I knew all too well the hardships endured by concubines and their daughters. Had Mother not voluntarily confined herself to the Buddhist hall to pray for the Shen family, had Father not deemed my beauty useful to keep me alive, neither of us would have survived to this day. Therefore, I cannot become a concubine. I cannot subject my own child to such suffering. Since I was 12, I've been planning my marriage. I chose Yansheng not only for his distinguished lineage, but because he promised to take me as his lawful wife. Now that he's broken his word, I will never compromise myself for him. A concubine in the Duke's household remains a concubine. Dear, Yansheng truly cares for you. Being his concubine wouldn't be a hardship. By rejecting this match today, who knows what kind of family the main wife will arrange for you in the future? Mother was deeply worried. As she spoke, her voice grew hoarse with sorrow, and she began to cough violently. I gently patted her back, helping her steady her breath. Mother, love is the most useless thing a man possesses. The man I marry must be the one who benefits me most. Dear, could it be you already have someone in mind? Mother, I wish to marry His Highness the Ninth Prince. The ninth prince. Mother's body trembled. She stared at me blankly, then tears streamed down her face as she murmured, "What a tragedy! I've ruined you. All because of me." Not only Mother, but even my maid Chantal believed that abandoning the pure and noble young Marquis to marry a eunuch with a tarnished reputation was nothing but a tantrum. "Miss, I heard from the steward that the young Marquis has redrafted the marriage contract. The dowry remains identical to identical portions, with no distinction between wife and concubine. If you agree, he still wishes to marry you." Chantal had witnessed Yansheng's kindness toward me over the years, and urged me not to miss this good match. If the eldest miss wants to be the main wife, let her be. The young Marquis has eyes only for you anyway. Silly girl, if he truly only had eyes for me, how could he ever make me a concubine? Yansheng is the sole heir of the Duke's household. Had he ever genuinely fought for me, things would never have ended up like this. But miss, in a household like the Duke's, it's truly difficult for a daughter of a concubine to become the wife. Chantal tried to plead further, but I tapped her forehead lightly. You have time to spare, then accompany me to the 7th pavilion to tidy up. Xiao Chenin will be back soon. I cannot let him find any grounds to exploit. What, miss, you wouldn't actually be considering marrying His Highness the Ninth Prince, would you? Chantal pursed her lips, unable to resist rubbing the back of her neck. Every time Xiao Chenin came to see me, he knocked her unconscious. In her mind, if Yansheng was a celestial being under the moon, then Xiao Chenin was a cold-blooded demon. Of course I am. I stroked the jade token Xiao Chenin had given me, recalling his words from 7 days ago, my gaze deepening. Though I couldn't choose my birth, I could decide my own destiny. After 4 years of scheming, how could I abandon the entire game just because one pawn was lost? Xiao Chenin was extremely dangerous, but if used wisely, I might yet win. Upon arriving at Kilu, only Uncle Li was sweeping the courtyard. Seeing me, he hurried over. Miss Qingdai, the young master isn't in his study today. No matter, I've come to retrieve something. The study at 7 Pavilions was Yansheng's private residence. Only those with his closest personal ties were invited here, and I was the only female guest he had ever invited. Due to my frequent visits, Uncle Li treated me with great respect. He opened the door and led me inside. The faint scent of agarwood stirred memories within me. 2 years ago, during the Lantern Festival, Yansheng found my silk handkerchief. He brought it to me, sincerely praising my remarkable talent without looking down on me because my mother was a concubine. As we spent time together, affection blossomed between us. Knowing I refused to be a concubine, He publicly vowed at the Changping Poetry Gathering to marry me as his lawful wife. He also granted me the privilege of freely entering and leaving the 7 pavilions, allowing me to study and play the zither in the study with peace of mind. He painted numerous portraits of me, filling the side chamber behind the main hall. Each painting bore the inscription, "My beloved King Dai." Those days felt like yesterday, yet I held no lingering attachment. With clear-headed resolve, I withdrew, Chuntao, take my zither, my books and poems, and every portrait in the side chamber out to the courtyard. Miss, there are too many paintings for one trip. Who said I wanted them back? I tore the portraits from the walls and tossed them carelessly at my feet. Burn them all. Nothing and no one could stop my ascent. Not 3 years of affection. Not these portraits. And certainly not Gu Yansheng. Chantao carried every portrait out of the side room, leaving not a single one behind. Only sensed something was amiss, but dared not intervene, rushing instead to send word to the Duke's mansion. As I tossed scroll after scroll into the flames, Gu Yansheng arrived. The firelight illuminated his weary face. King Dai, please stop this. I've spoken well of you too, mother, to explain your refusal of the marriage today. Young Marquis, you needn't trouble yourself. I will not marry into the Duke's household. King Dai, Gu Yansheng seized my wrist, halting the burning. Marrying your elder sister is merely a temporary arrangement. If you dislike her, I shall simply neglect her. His hot breath washed over my face as he tried to pull me into his embrace. I dodged him immediately, retreating 7 or 8 steps. King Dai is about to marry. I asked the young duke to behave with dignity. I didn't know what I'd said wrong, but he lost control of his emotions and roared at me. King Dai, you are a concubine's daughter. Persuading my mother to consent to our marriage was no easy feat. I intended to wait a few years, until you bore me an heir, then find a pretext to elevate you to co-wife. Why must you be so impatient? Impatient? I shot Gu Yansheng a cold glance. Was marrying me as his primary wife not his own solemn vow? Now it was my impatience. Absolutely ridiculous. Swiftly and decisively, I gathered all the scrolls and tossed them into the raging flames. Still unsatisfied, I threw my own zither and books into the fire as well. King Dai, I treat you with such sincerity. Are you truly unwilling to endure even the slightest hardship from me? No, I turned to leave, hearing Gu Yansheng's contemptuous snort behind me. Shen Qingdai, how dare you, a mere concubine, be so ungrateful? With your stubborn nature and inability to please your husband, you'll never be the main wife. And don't forget our affair is common knowledge throughout the capital. No one but me would ever marry you. My footsteps halted abruptly, my heart pounding wildly. It wasn't because of Gu Yansheng, but because I saw Xiao Chenin riding his snow-white steed through the forest. His dark purple brocade robes made him look even more formidable, stirring an inexplicable fear within me. It felt like I'd been caught red-handed doing something wrong, unable to meet his gaze. Xiao Chenin extended his hand toward me. Climb on yourself, or shall I lift you up? My face flushed as he hoisted me onto the snow steed, where I sat stiffly before him. We were already pressed close together, yet Xiao Chenin deliberately switched to holding the reins with both hands, drawing me entirely into his embrace. Your Highness, this isn't quite proper. What? Afraid your ex-lover might get jealous? I wisely kept my mouth shut. Xiao Chenin ignored Gu Yansheng and led me away at a leisurely pace. So leisurely it felt like a deliberate show of defiance. Until Gu Yansheng finally snapped. Uncle Li, from this day forward, Shen Qingdai and any other unwelcome guests are forbidden from setting foot in the 7 pavilions. That resolute tone dripped with utter loathing toward me. But when Chuntao returned, she told me Gu Yansheng had personally extinguished the fire himself, fearlessly rescuing several paintings despite the intense heat. Miss, before I left, I caught a glimpse of the young Marquis. He looked so heartbroken. His eyes were all red. Is that so? Don't mention him again. My mind buzzed as I stared at the note in my palm, utterly unable to focus on anything else. The note listed the auspicious date chosen by Xiao Chun in the 16th day of the 12th lunar month. It was the very day Shen Liuju and Gu Yansheng were to marry. The prince's mansion and the duke's mansion marrying daughters of the Shen family on the same day would inevitably stir up a storm in the capital. Xiao Chunin was clearly doing this on purpose. He was even crazier than I had imagined. My first encounter with Xiao Chunin occurred 2 years prior at the Lantern Festival. That day, I carried 5 handkerchiefs, tossing them before 5 chosen young masters from distinguished families. The first 4 were retrieved by their intended recipients. Yet somehow the 5th found its way into Xiao Chunin's hands. He knocked out Chen Tao and the boatman, boarding the pleasure boat I had chartered. Shen Qingdai, this is your handkerchief, isn't it? Does young Master Gu know you lost 5 handkerchiefs? I was momentarily speechless, wondering how I'd stumbled upon this demon incarnate. But escape was impossible. I forced a smile and invited him to sit. Thank you, Your Excellency, for returning my daughter's silk handkerchief. She is profoundly grateful. Should the opportunity arise, she will surely repay Your Excellency. Repay by offering yourself. I froze, shaking my head hastily. No, how could I possibly be worthy of Your Excellency? Unworthy or unwilling? Xiao Chunin's rough fingertips lifted my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. Shen Qingdai, the Duke's residence, still lacks a virtuous and talented mistress. I find you quite suitable. Suitable. He knew I'd lost 5 silk handkerchiefs, yet he praised my virtue and talent. My heart nearly leapt into my throat. I steeled myself to refuse. Your Excellency, please don't joke. I've heard His Majesty has selected several noble young ladies for you, and a marriage decree will be issued soon. How could this position of mistress ever be meant for me? Xiao Chunin fell silent for a moment before suddenly gripping my waist and lifting me gently onto his lap. I distinctly felt something hard pressing painfully against my hips, freezing me in place. How can you know it won't be yours unless you try? His low, husky voice brushed against my ear, his eyes deep and mysterious like a dark pool. For a moment, I couldn't tell if he was testing me or truly meant it. My mind went blank, filled only with the sound of my heart pounding like a drum. In desperation, I feigned fainting. Xiao Chunin seemed to chuckle softly, but didn't set me down. He held me like that until the boat docked. After that, I deliberately avoided Xiao Chunin, and he never sought me out. I once thought it was merely a passing whim. So I stopped dwelling on it and proceeded with my plan to grow close to Gu Yansheng, discussing marriage. Until 7 days ago, Xiao Chunin inexplicably tossed me a jade token, declaring he would marry me. Your Highness, young Master Gu and I are deeply in love. He is about to propose to the Shen family. So what if he proposes? You won't marry him. At the time, I thought Xiao Chunin was being overly presumptuous. Little did I know his words would prove prophetic. The next morning, Chen Tao burst into the room, her voice brimming with excitement. Miss, the 9th prince has come to propose. Dozens of cartloads of rare treasures fill the front courtyard, nearly blocking the gate. The eldest miss and the young marquis are here too. The eldest madam's face is as green as a toad. A marriage proposal. Is Xiao Chunin this impatient? Father hasn't even agreed yet, and he goes and sends the betrothal gifts over directly. Juntao, keep watching the front courtyard. Miss, don't you want to go see? This is our chance to finally gain some standing before the First Lady and the eldest daughter. I smiled faintly and shook my head. Father wouldn't refuse this match. Once the marriage was settled, my plan to leave the Shen Manor with my stepmother would be half accomplished. At this critical juncture, gaining standing was utterly irrelevant. The most important thing was to avoid causing any trouble. After Chen Tao left, I rose to find my mother. Entering the Buddhist hall, I saw Gu Yansheng reprimanding her. Second madam, King Dai's foolishness, how could you be so misguided? Xiao Chunin marrying King Dai is merely the crown prince's will. If she truly wed him, it would never end well. Young Marquis, regardless of whose will this marriage is, it is mine to marry him. I shall bear the consequences myself. You need not concern yourself. Gu Yansheng lifted his gaze to meet mine, softening his tone. King Dai, there should be limits to your defiance. Had your father consented to this match today, what would you have done? I would have married him, of course. I turned slightly, my hand sweeping out in a polite but firm gesture of dismissal. Young Marquis, the inner chambers are crowded with ladies today. It would be inappropriate for me to see you out. Stung by my icy composure, Gu Yansheng's face darkened. He lunged forward, seizing my wrist and jerking me toward him. King Dai, stop lying to yourself. You're only marrying Xiao Chunin to spite me. I already promised you that you and Liu could be co-wives. He hissed, his grip tightening. What more could you possibly want? Tell me, do you truly love the status of a duchess? Or do you love me? I frowned, wrenching my hand from his grasp with a sharp tug. With a swift, practiced motion, I shoved him back toward the threshold of the Buddhist hall. Young Marquis, you are clearly intoxicated. As I moved to shut the doors, Gu Yansheng slammed his palm against the wood, blocking me. His eyes were bloodshot, his teeth clenched in a silent fury. Shen Qingdai, do you truly intend to marry that eunuch? I do. A man with no family ties and no ability to father children had always been my ideal choice. It was only because Xiao Chunin was so notoriously ruthless and calculating that I hadn't dared consider him before. But now that the die was cast, I might as well see the play through to the end. Must you be so stubborn? He pleaded, his voice cracking. Why won't you just yield to me? You know exactly how I feel about. Yansheng, what are you doing here? Before he could finish, Shen Liuju appeared, her maid trailing behind her. She moved quickly, peeling her fiance's hand away from the door to salvage what remained of his dignity. Shen Qingdai, she said, her voice dripping with feigned concern. Since father has already sanctioned your marriage to Xiao Chunin, perhaps you could stop provoking the young Marquis? She offered a thin, mocking smile. Oh, and you likely haven't heard father wants us both married on the same day. My dowry is set to exceed 30 loads. How much do you have? It would be a shame to make His Excellency the laughingstock of the capital. She paused, tapping her chin as if just remembering. Oh dear, I forgot your mother was a mere concubine. I doubt she left you enough to afford a single trunk. I remained silent, my expression unreadable. Gu Yansheng, having regained his composure, let go of the door and turned toward his fiancée. Right before my eyes, he took Shen Liuju's hand, his voice suddenly turning as smooth as silk. Liuju, he murmured, I intend to commission the Firefly Phoenix crown from Baoyu Pavilion for you. What do you think? The Firefly Phoenix crown. 12 years ago, when the eldest Princess Xiao Yunzi was wed, the imperial consorts had gathered 208 of the rarest colored gemstones to commission that very crown. It was a legendary piece of peerless treasure that had not been spoken of since. It was dazzling yet refined, radiant as fireflies. Over the following decade, noble ladies from prominent families sought to commission replicas from Baoyu Pavilion, but none could muster over 100 gems at once. If Gu Yansheng truly crafted this Firefly Phoenix crown, both the Duke's residence and Shen Liuju would steal the show on our wedding day. Yansheng, you're so kind to me. Shen Liuju felt overwhelmed by the affection, blushing as she lowered her lashes. I slammed the temple door shut, not out of jealousy, but to stifle my laughter. Those two fools outside were unwittingly caught in Xiao Chunin's scheme. But mother, unaware of the truth, wiped away tears in distress. Qingdai, I'll go beg the old grandmother to prepare some dowry for you. I hurriedly held her back. Mother, someone will arrange my dowry. since Xiao Chunin chose to marry on the same day as Gu Yansheng, he wouldn't let me lose to Shen Liuju. If I lost, it would be a blow to the face of both the Eastern Factory and the Prince of Cheng. I was certain I'd make a killing with my dowry. On the wedding day, Shen Liuju, being the eldest and legitimate daughter, naturally left the house before me. The gossip-loving Chuntao ran back and forth 7 or 8 times, vividly describing Gu Yansheng's grand wedding procession through the door. Miss, the young marquis actually borrowed the Yu Prince's ceremonial escort. The display was even grander than when Grand Tutor Li was laid to rest last time. Miss, the poet sage of the capital composed a verse for the young marquis and the eldest miss, calling them a golden union, a match made in heaven. When the eldest madam heard it, she grinned so wide you could have swallowed a toad hole. Miss, you wouldn't believe it that Firefly Phoenix crown on the eldest miss's head was so breathtakingly beautiful. Every woman present was green with envy. I blinked. Had Gu Yansheng truly crafted that Firefly Phoenix crown? No wonder Xiao Chunin insisted I wear it. For my wedding procession, no other headpiece could truly outshine Shen Liuju. Chuntao, the hour is nearly upon us. Come inside at once. Chuntao, who had just turned to take another peek, halted mid-step. She gently pushed open the door and froze instantly upon seeing me standing in the center of the room. Miss, you ow, her lips trembled, yet no coherent words emerged. She seemed on the verge of a shrill scream, but luckily, Mother pulled her inside and swiftly shut the door. Yet Chen Tao remained transfixed, her eyes fixed on me. She stared at the wedding gown, then at the phoenix crown, her eyes welling up. Miss, you are truly beautiful. When Xiao Chunin came to fetch me, Gu Yansheng and Shen Liuju had not yet departed. The 8 literary masters of the capital were devising new ways to praise the couple's love. I knew they were waiting to see me make a fool of myself, deliberately lingering at the door. But alas, today's clowns were themselves. When I stepped out of the Shen residence wearing the wedding gown altered from the eldest princess's wedding attire, my head adorned with the genuine Firefly Phoenix crown, the breeze seemed to freeze for a moment. Then came a cacophony of praise, gasps, shrieks, and doubts. I had captured everyone's gaze, including Gu Yansheng's and Shen Liuju's. Though my face was hidden by the round fan, I could imagine their utter shock. Truthfully, when I first laid eyes on this peerless phoenix crown and wedding robe, I too had been speechless with awe. Princess Xiao Yunzi harbored deep resentment toward the Eastern Factory. Years ago, she had quelled the rebellion of the 3 princes and helped the current emperor ascend the throne. Yet the Eastern Factory, having achieved its goal, turned on her, arresting the imperial son-in-law on the pretext of indiscriminate killings among court officials. After the prince consort was imprisoned, the princess, to save his life, had no choice but to relinquish her power. From then on, she withdrew from court affairs, appearing only at the Changping Poetry Gathering to discuss matters of love and poetry. Now, with the prince consort still imprisoned in the Eastern Factory, how could I dare to wear the princess's phoenix crown and wedding robes? Your Excellency is too kind, but these items are far too precious. Should anything go wrong, King Dai would never be able to account for them to the princess. No accounting needed. Both belong to you now. Mind gazing at the 208 jewels adorning the radiant phoenix crown, I couldn't help but swallow hard. These gems were worth at least hundreds of thousands of gold pieces. I desperately wanted to accept them outright, but life was still more important. Xiao Chunin, I admire your audacity in snatching the princess's phoenix crown and wedding robes, but I'm too timid to wear them. What if the princess gave them to you? Gave them to me? You've imprisoned the prince consort for years. The princess sparing the Eastern Factory is already lenient. Now you want her to humiliate the duke's household. You must be joking. In my panic, my tone turned sharp. Xiao Chunin showed no anger. He unfolded the wedding gown and draped it over me, seeming quite pleased with the altered fit. Shen Qingdai, if you refuse to wear this, the princess consort will truly hold you accountable. I didn't grasp the meaning of those words then. Not until today, when the first lady stopped me and publicly demanded, King Dai, how did you come to possess this phoenix crown? It clearly belongs to the princess. Upon the prince consort's release, the princess was greatly pleased and specially rewarded Shen King Dai, who once won first place at the Champing Poetry Gathering. Madam Shen, this is the dowry the princess's residence has added for Shen King Dai. Please take a look. The princess's residence dispatched a lady-in-waiting bearing 20 loads of dowry. The first lady stood frozen in place, and I too was stunned. Trading the prince consort for a phoenix crown and ceremonial robes? Must Xiao Chunin win Gu Yansheng at all costs? The princess's addition to King Dai's dowry is a blessing for our Shen family. Servants, bring forth the second young lady's dowry. The matriarch's lips twitched, her pride wounded. She intended to humiliate me with the dowry display. She knew I possessed nothing substantial beyond the 5 loads of cloth and jewelry prepared for me by the matriarch. Madam, the entrance may not accommodate second young Mrs. Dowry. The steward looked troubled, whispering something to the first lady. She was so furious she couldn't speak. I gave Chen Tao a meaningful glance. She understood, stood tall, and handed the dowry list I'd written to the wedding maid. The maid took it and announced loudly, Shen King Dai, dowry, 233 loads. What? How many burdens did you say? Shen Liuju could no longer contain herself. She dropped her folding fan and rushed forward, grabbing my arm. Shen Qingdai, how could your dowry possibly exceed mine? Shen Liuju's dowry was 60 burdens, even without counting the 20 burdens bestowed by the eldest princess. Mine still surpassed hers by 173 burdens. How could this not enrage her? She couldn't fathom where I'd possibly acquired such a vast dowry. These were merely congratulatory gifts presented to Xiao Chunin by officials of the Prince of Chang's lineage. He had arranged with me that all would be delivered to the Shen residence on our wedding day, to serve as my dowry, while everyone gathered at the main gate to watch Gu Yansheng's wedding procession. My dowry was being carried box by box through the back gate into the courtyard. Even now, the delivery hadn't concluded. Then, a voice from the crowd interjected. Seeing Shen Qingdai and Shen Liuju standing together, those 2 phoenix crowns truly make the moon outshine the stars. Shen Liuju's imitation crown, though beautiful, pales in comparison. At these words, Shen Liuju staggered, nearly tumbling down the steps. Gu Yansheng rushed forward to steady her, his eyes darkening as he glared at me. King Dai, take it out on me if you have a problem. I narrowed my eyes. Your Highness, I'm holding this folding fan. I didn't push my sister. But you don't look too happy. So what's wrong? You were smiling quite happily just a moment ago, weren't you? Veins bulged on Gu Yansheng's forehead as he spoke in a voice only Shen Liuju, and I could hear. Shen Qingdai, just you wait. You will lose this game. After a day of commotion, we finally entered the prince's residence. I carefully removed my phoenix crown and wedding attire, changing into casual clothes before helping myself to the delicacies on the table. Something felt off. Most of these dishes were my favorites, and the flavors were identical to those at the Drunken Immortal Pavilion. Before I could ponder further, Xiao Chunin pushed open the door. His composed, self-possessed face contrasted strikingly with his deep crimson wedding robe, creating a mesmerizing effect. For a moment, I forgot I was still chewing on the fragrant sweet-tan sour pork. Shen Qingdai, what's the story with those 34 extra cartloads of dowry? Xiao Chunin's sharp gaze swept over me. I quickly swallowed the pork, scratched my head sheepishly, and explained. Xiao Chunin, I've been secretly saving some silver. This was the perfect chance to legitimately transfer the money into my own name. You're something else even daring to use me. We're just using each other. I set down my chopsticks and met Xiao Chunin's gaze. How about we divorce in 3 years? Divorce? Xiao Chenen's brow furrowed deeper, his voice growing colder. A chill ran down my spine for no apparent reason. Summoning my courage, I said, Xiao Chenen, didn't you marry me to help Prince Chang secure the throne? First, marrying a powerless concubine's daughter would reassure the emperor. Second, your lavish wedding gifts would force officials wavering between Prince Chang and Prince Yu too. Choose sides. Third, you could gauge Prince Yu's strength through the guest list at the Duke's mansion. Your apparent defiance toward Gu Yansheng is actually a ploy to lure the Duke's mansion into revealing its hand. Given Gu Yansheng's temperament, if he doesn't want to lose to you, he'll have no choice but to pour every effort into preparing the wedding. Xiao Chenen, you've already achieved half your goal. If we divorce 3 years from now, I'm sure neither the emperor nor the princess will hold it against us. Xiao Chenen let out an inexplicably cold laugh, sending a chill down my spine. Yet he shifted the topic. Shen Qingdai, if you're already contemplating divorce on our wedding night, then I shall entrust these estates and shops to others to manage. Following his gaze, I saw 3 large trunks filled with ledgers in the room. My eyes lit up instantly. If given 3 years to manage these hundreds of shops and estates, I could likely earn hundreds of thousands of taels. Xiao Chenen, since I married you, I will fulfill my duties as the mistress of the prince's residence. Delighted, I picked up the ledgers and began flipping through them. On our wedding night, I spent the entire evening calculating accounts. Those 2 days were consumed by sorting the books, and I nearly forgot the day of my return visit to my parents' home. After court, Xiao Chenen prepared a carriage and accompanied me back to the Shen residence. I had assumed Shen Liuju and Gu Yansheng would have returned before us, but they arrived late, well past lunchtime. Father, mother, it's not Yansheng's fault. I overslept. Shen Liuju kept her eyes downcast. I noticed something off about her. She'd never shown such vulnerability in my presence before. Unfortunately, neither father nor the first lady noticed. They simply ushered them into the dining hall. The atmosphere during that meal was incredibly awkward. My relationship with my parents was distant, so my silence went unremarked. But Shen Liuju, who was usually doted on, sat utterly silent, taking tiny bites of food as if she'd suffered some immense injustice. The first lady cautiously broke the silence. Liuju, are you feeling unwell? My elder sister looked up, instinctively glancing at Gu Yansheng before hesitating awkwardly. Finally, she murmured softly, Master Gu is quite vigorous. Your daughter hasn't been able to get out of bed these past few days. Such bedroom matters discussed at the dinner table? Father and the first lady fell silent simultaneously, and I too froze. Out of the corner of my eye, I stole a glance at Shen Liuju. She shouldn't have spoken such words, nor should fear have flickered in her eyes. Yet it seemed as if some invisible hand was pushing her to continue this awkward topic. She asked me coldly, Sister, how was your wedding night? It dawned on me instantly this was all Gu Yansheng's doing. He wanted to use my elder sister's words to mock Xiao Chenen as a eunuch. But my wedding night out had been truly delightful. Sister, I was utterly exhausted that night too. I didn't sleep a wink all night, and my back ached from sitting. With a sharp snap, Gu Yansheng snapped his chopsticks in two. After finally finishing lunch, I took Xiao Chenen to see Mother. The 9th prince, who treated me with icy coldness, showed Mother the utmost respect. He presented tea with both hands and addressed her directly, Mother. The word alone brought tears streaming down her cheeks. Flustered, Mother produced the prepared gift, pressing a jade pendant of mediocre quality into Xiao Chenen's hand. Your Excellency, King Dai endured much hardship growing up with me. Please treat her well from now on. Xiao Chenen accepted the pendant, solemnly fastening it to his belt alongside his private order token, a symbol of authority. Your humble son-in-law obeys. Just as joy filled the air, Mother's overwhelming happiness caused her to collapse in convulsions. I rushed to fetch the estate's physician. The doctor declared mother's body weak and spirit exhausted, requiring quiet recuperation. Xiao Chunin proposed sending her to the family's suburban estate for a time, but the first lady refused. The Shen family already owns a country estate outside the city. There's no need for your highness to trouble yourself. Madam, that estate is dilapidated and uninhabited. I opened my mouth to argue, but Shen Liuju cut me off. Mother, the Shen estate borders a lake. It's unsuitable for your recuperation. Should anything happen to you, I fear my sister and His Highness would blame you. Let me take you to His Highness's estate instead. The First Lady looked astonished, for Shen Liuju had never spoken on my behalf before. After a moment's hesitation, she finally relented, allowing me and Xiao Chunin to take mother away. Though I was somewhat annoyed by Xiao Chunin's actions in drugging my mother, I was also touched. He had always remembered the one condition I'd set for marrying him, helping my mother leave the Shen family. I didn't press Xiao Chunin about drugging my mother. He was exceptionally skilled at cheering her up, taking me to the estate to see her whenever he had the chance. Because of my mother, Xiao Chunin and I grew more and more like a real married couple. We slept in the same bed, but he would only embrace me from behind, never making any inappropriate advances. Later, I gradually relaxed. When we lay too close, he kissed me a few times, and I kissed him back a few times. Yet each time we kissed, his lower abdomen would pull far away from me, likely because he was self-conscious about his disability. Once, he left the capital on official business for over 3 months. At first, it was fine, but by the second month, I found myself unconsciously hugging his pillow, burying my face in it, pretending he was sleeping beside me. I realized that not seeing Xiao Chunin for long periods made me restless, though I couldn't pinpoint why. I could only keep myself busy by diligently inspecting the shops and the estate, distracting myself until I forgot him. During that time, I encountered Gu Yansheng several times. Each time, he invited me to Kilu for a talk. King Dai, Kilu is my private residence. No one will know you came. I never gave him an answer. Soon after, I heard Shen Liuju was pregnant. I thought Gu Yansheng would finally back off. Instead, he kidnapped my mother and threatened me to accompany him to the Chaping poetry gathering. King Dai, I've never forgotten my vow to marry you. At the Chaping gathering, I'll make everyone see that we are the perfect match. So he was the one who drugged my mother. On the first day of the poetry gathering, the eldest princess set the theme. Participants could respond through music, chess, calligraphy, painting, dance, song, or poetry. The most fitting entry would win. That year, I won first place with the dance, causing Gu Yansheng to impulsively swear before everyone that he would marry me as his primary wife. This time, the princess wrote the character Fate. Gu Yansheng was overjoyed and rose first. Princess, King Dai and I wish to answer with butterfly loves flower. You and Shen King Dai. The princess's gaze burned like fire. After glancing at me, her eyes lingered meaningfully on Shen Liuju. Your Highness, Liuju is with child and cannot dance. Thus, this humble servant invited King Dai to partner with me. 3 years ago, King Dai and I were also destined to be together. Gu Yansheng spoke with such bluntness, utterly oblivious to Shen Liuju, who was so distressed she nearly bit through her lip. King Dai, would you dance with me? Gu Yansheng approached me with his jade flute. Remembering his demand that I must win the championship with him to free my mother, I had no choice but to accept his invitation publicly. Yet I did not follow him to the center of the hall. Instead, I walked toward Shen Liuju. Sister, it's been so long since I heard your kin. Would you help me and my brother-in-law win today? Shen Liuju swayed slightly, her eyes widening in surprise before misting over. When my sister asks, I will give my all. King Dai, butterfly loves flower, does not suit the kin's melody. Gu Yansheng lowered his gaze, his tone sharp with warning. If you wish to win, Do not overcomplicate things. Who says butterfly loves flower doesn't suit Qin music? No sooner had he spoken than a woman in pink entered the arena. Wang Yujin, the youngest daughter of General Wang, held an exquisite soft sword and bowed to me. Sister King Dai, I offer the Mingsu sword to accompany your dance with Sister Liuju. Shen Liuju rose slowly, nodding and smiling at her. Gu Yansheng's face turned ashen with fury, yet he could do nothing about it. The Grand Princess, intrigued, ordered chairs, a table, and a guqin to be brought forth. Unsurprisingly, the piece Butterfly Loves Flower claimed first place that day. The princess rewarded Gu Yansheng with a flask of that year's Ruomai wine. After just 2 sips, he was drunk, his voice hoarse as he bellowed at Shen Liuju. What exactly am I lacking compared to that eunuch? Shen Liuju shot me an apologetic glance before hurriedly leading him away. Worried about my mother, I hurried back to the prince's residence and produced Xiao Chunan's private order. Everyone, go find out where my mother is. I knew Gu Yansheng's outburst at the poetry gathering would soon spread throughout the capital. I had to find my mother before Xiao Chunan returned to the city. Fortunately, Gu Yansheng hadn't taken things too far. He'd merely invited mother to watch 2 plays. After retrieving mother, I immediately issued a gag order. But those stubborn Jinue still blabbed the entire story to Xiao Chunan. Xiao Chunan first led men to surround the duke's residence, then immediately besieged the princess's mansion. Perhaps he believed the eldest princess had instructed Gu Yansheng to openly torment me. This uproar had the entire capital whispering that His Highness doted on me to the heavens, even at the cost of making enemies. Yet I was deeply troubled. After all, his enemy this time was none other than the former Grand Princess, once the most powerful figure in the court. Now that the prince consort was safe, the Grand Princess faced no restraints. If she allied with the Duke's residence as she had in the past to prop up Prince Yu, the first to suffer when the prince fell from grace would be the Eastern Factory, and Xiao Chunan himself. Shen Qingdai, are you concerned about me? Xiao Chunan lifted me onto his lap, burying his weary face in the crook of my neck. His nose gently brushed against my skin, mimicking the way I nuzzled his pillow. My arms instinctively wrapped around his waist as I replied, my voice tinged with guilt. I'm afraid all the silver I work so hard to earn will vanish. Xiao Chunan remained silent, his quietness unsettling me deeply. Yet for months afterward, the prince's residence remained untroubled, while the duke's mansion faced disaster. Gu Yansheng's 5th concubine shoved Shen Liuju. Her child was lost. Shen Liuju was brought back to the Shen household, refusing food and drink until she wasted away. The old matriarch sent word for me to go and comfort her. Before going, I thought I wouldn't feel sympathy for Shen Liuju. But when I actually saw her face, drained of color and vitality, my heart ached nonetheless. When a woman marries the wrong man, it's not just her heart that suffers, her body does too. King Dai, I was wrong. I shouldn't have agreed to this marriage. I've envied you since childhood, envied how even the servants treated you kindly, envied how you learned everything faster than me without a wet nurse, how you excelled at everything I did. I envied father always praising you, yet I could never surpass you. Then you won first place at the Champing Poetry Gathering, and Gu Yansheng swore to marry you. My jealousy drove me mad. So when mother asked if I wanted to marry Gu Yansheng, I foolishly agreed. I thought I'd be the main wife, and you the concubine. I'd finally beaten you once. I was sure you'd envy me as much as I'd envied you. But I never imagined. Gu Yansheng isn't human at all. He's a beast, a devil. He killed my child. As she spoke, Shen Liuju's body shook violently, her face drenched in tears. I sat beside the bed, supporting her. I didn't need to ask what she'd endured at the Duke's mansion. It seemed I already understood everything. But she misunderstood one thing. Shen Liuju, I never once intended to compete with you. I treated the servants kindly because my mother and I struggled to survive in the mansion. I mastered music, chess, calligraphy, and painting to perfection because I wanted father to see my worth. I was different from you. If a concubine's daughter proved useless, my mother and I would have no choice but death. Shen Liuju, I once thought you'd never know what it felt like to be unable to go on living. I never imagined you'd suffer such a fate. I understand you want to die now, but death is easy. Living is the true hardship. If you can survive, then we can settle our rivalry. Shen Liuju stared at me blankly, murmuring, King Dai, the princess, and Gu Yansheng are preparing to take down Xiao Chunin. It might happen during the autumn hunt. The autumn hunt, less than a month left. My heart pounded wildly. I thanked Shen Liuju and rose to leave. Just before the door, she called after me. King Dai, what Gu Yansheng craves most is seeing you bow to him. Every time he gets drunk, he swears he'll make you lose. You can't lose. You must send that scum to hell. As the autumn hunt drew nearer, every minor stir in the capital made me feel like I was sitting on pins and needles. I began to openly show my concern for Xiao Chunin, pouting and pleading with him to resign his post and accompany me to Jiangnan. After our divorce, my original plan had been to take my mother to Jiangnan to live out her days in peace. Now, I no longer minded bringing Xiao Chunin along. But Xiao Chunin merely ruffled my hair and said he couldn't leave now. With no other choice, I resolved to protect him from Gu Yansheng by any means necessary. What I never anticipated was that Gu Yansheng had set his sights on me. He abducted me to Wangxian's 30 li from the capital, a stronghold teeming with notorious bandits and robbers. I couldn't fathom how the gentle young marquis I first met could become this devil, now consorting with bandits. He pinched my chin, forcing my face up. King Dai, if Xiao Chunin doesn't come tonight, your body is mine. If he does come, you'll still be mine. His smile was wicked, radiating absolute confidence. I knew Xiao Chunin couldn't come. Most of the imperial guards were investigating cases across the land, and those left in the capital had all gone on the autumn hunt. If he did come, it would be at least desertion of duty, and at worst, he'd meet his end at Huangxian's eye. But I was wrong again. Xiao Chunin chose an even worse, last-ditch strategy. Not only did he take the Jin Yue from the hunting grounds, but he also brought 300 imperial guards stationed at the palace in the capital. In just half a day, they wiped out Huangxian's eye. Gu Yansheng had received advance word and left long before. The look in his eyes as he departed left me uneasy. That look seemed to say, you've lost. This time, Xiao Chunin is finished. Unauthorized troop deployment was tantamount to treason. On the second day after returning to the capital, both Prince Cheng and Xiao Chunin were imprisoned. Miss, your husband left you a divorce decree and a pass to leave the city. Clutching that exit pass, I instructed my most trusted confidant in the capital to swiftly transfer my dowry and all assets of the prince's residence to Jiangnan. Miss, you're so wise. With him gone, we'll just take the money and run. Chuntao bustled about packing valuables. Pressing my hand to my chest, I sighed. I never said I was leaving. This money was Xiao Chunin's to begin with. Now it's simply being returned to him. Prepare the carriage. We're going to the Grand Princess's residence. The princess's residence was far larger than I had imagined. I'd heard that after the late emperor's passing, Xiao Yunzi had brought all the imperial consorts, who had raised her to live within the princess's palace. I'd always thought such tales were mere fabrications in storybooks, but seeing it today, I realized it was true. Those consorts who should have been buried alive with the late emperor live exceptionally well under Xiao Yunzi's care. Though in their 40s, each glowed with health and radiance. Their smiles the most vibrant I'd ever seen on any woman's face. I froze momentarily, failing to notice the eldest princess entering the main hall. She spoke bluntly. Shen Qingdai, I cannot help you. Prince Yu and Gu Yansheng have already confirmed Xiao Chunin's treason. For now, you should focus on protecting yourself." Yet, narrowing her eyes, she pressed, "Why come to me? Wouldn't it be quicker to appeal directly to Yansheng? A man's fury for a beauty Xiao Chunan's misfortune was entirely your doing." "Your Highness, you are mistaken. What does Yansheng's madness have to do with me? Xiao Chunan and I are merely an ordinary couple. The one at fault is the aggressive Yansheng, not me, who has always kept to myself." "You are quite the smooth talker. I hear you transported all of Xiao Chunan's silver to Jiangnan. Why is that?" "That silver now belongs to the eldest princess." I bowed deeply to Xiao Yanzi. I begged the eldest princess to show mercy and spare my husband. Upon learning I'd sought the eldest princess's aid, Yansheng led the imperial guards to surround the Shen residence. Receiving the old matriarch's distress message, I rushed from the princess's residence to the scene. At that moment, all 122 members of the Shen household knelt in the courtyard. Yansheng, who had just taken control of the eastern factory, stood in his black and gold flying fish robe like a looming demon god, casually holding everyone's fate in his hands. Shen Liuju shielded the old matriarch, the first lady, father, and several younger brothers behind her, denouncing Yansheng for abusing his power and perverting justice. With the family facing ruin, even Shen Liuju had taken on the bearing of an elder sister. Yet she could not stop Yansheng. "Yansheng, what exactly will it take for you to stop?" Yansheng lifted his eyelids. When he saw me, a flicker of light passed through his bloodshot eyes. "Shen Qingdai, are you willing to marry me? What if I say I'm not? Then today I will slaughter every last member of the Shen family." No sooner had Yansheng finished speaking than father, consumed by rage, commanded me, "King Dai, Xiao Chunan is about to die. Now is the perfect time for you to marry Yansheng. As the consort of a eunuch, what more could you possibly want when Yansheng favors you so?" Shen King, before father could finish, Yansheng suddenly drew his sword and pierced his throat. "King Dai, you love Xiao Chunan because he could protect you, right? Look, now I can't dot the entire eastern factory is mine." The pungent stench of blood made me nauseous. I chose to follow Yansheng back to the Duke's residence. He had the eastern courtyard deliberately decorated to mirror Kilu's every detail. Before my arrival, he'd ordered red silk banners hung and joy characters plastered everywhere. As Chen Tao helped me into my wedding gown, her eyes brimming with tears, she asked, "Miss, are you truly going to marry that scum Yansheng?" I nodded. Yansheng had said that if I refused to marry him, he would kill me too. Then enshrine my spirit tablet in the Gu family ancestral hall. "Shen Qingdai, even in death, you will be my wife." In that instant, I knew he meant every word. I agreed to marry him on the spot. Every moment gained was a moment won. Chun Tao, remember this. Purity means nothing. Reputation means nothing. Staying alive is what matters most. Only by staying alive could I have a chance to win. This was a truth I grasped even at 5 years old. Yet Yansheng ultimately failed to achieve his goal. The moment news of my father's death reached the princess, she moved against Prince Yu. Accusing him of murdering court officials, she had Yansheng arrested, insinuating Prince Yu's treason. With both Prince Cheng and Prince Yu implicated in rebellion, the two princes with the greatest claim to the throne fell in quick succession. Consumed by rage, the emperor fell gravely ill. Xiao Chunan was released soon after, which surprised me little. After visiting the princess's residence, I realized Xiao Chunan's true master was the princess. As for the former imperial consorts residing in the princess's mansion, some were mapping frontier territories, others studying rice cultivation, while one deftly manipulated an abacus. Her focused expression suggested she was the foremost shopkeeper in the realm. Having frequently handled accounts myself, I recognized she was calculating sums in the tens of thousands and millions. This proved the eldest princess had never truly withdrawn from court affairs. Indeed, both internal and external matters were decided through the princess's mansion. The emperor was merely a puppet. Given this, the Eastern factory naturally fell under the princess's control as well. No wonder she gifted me the imperial crown and wedding attire, and signaled Wang Tianzhen at the Chaping Poetry Gathering to break the deadlock for me. It all stemmed from Xiao Chunan being her man. Sure enough, after his release, Xiao Chunan showed no surprise at the empty Thousand Years mansion. Did you know I'd use this money to rescue you? No wonder you were so generous, handing over all your funds and lavishing me with dowry. It turns out the princess, like me, needed a pretext to funnel corrupt officials' money to herself. Xiao Chunan, you've deceived me terribly. I've taken the divorce papers. From now on, we're strangers. I've never felt so wronged. Even when I learned Gu Yansheng intended to marry my elder sister as his primary wife, I hadn't felt this hurt. But now I was truly devastated, filled with hatred for Xiao Chunan. Not only had he deceived me, but he'd swindled me out of 34 loads of silver. I should have taken all his money and run. Why bother saving him? Shen Jingdai, you haven't seen that divorce decree yet, have you? Xiao Chunan scooped me up in his arms. It's nothing but a blank piece of paper. A blank piece of paper. Damn it. Now I'm even angrier. Xiao Chunan, you bastard. Qingdai, do you remember telling Shen Liuju how your wedding night went? I don't remember. Who would remember such messy nonsense? All I recall is being deceived losing 34 dan of silver. That night, Xiao Chunan eagerly helped me regain my memory through action. Wait, how could he be a fake eunuch? After the court situation stabilized, Xiao Chunan took me to see the princess. She dismissed Xiao Chunan, leaving me alone in the hall. King Dai, Chunan truly loves you. The princess saw my inner turmoil and told me a long story. Xiao Chunan was a child she rescued from the Eastern factory. She raised him like a younger brother from infancy. She elevated him to the position of the 9,000 years. And he never disappointed her, cool-headed and exceptionally capable. Yet this very same cold-hearted chief of the Eastern factory had secretly protected me for 6 years. At 12, when I decided to choose my own husband, I often brought pastries and snacks to share with the little beggars, asking them to keep an eye on the families I favored. Among them was a young beggar named Ergu, secretly trained by Xiao Chunan as an informant. While eating the hibiscus cakes I'd made myself, he confronted Xiao Chunan. Boss, that young lady is smarter than you. These treats aren't expensive, but we all like them. If this keeps up, I'll start working for her too. Xiao Chunan refused to accept defeat and followed me for several months. He witnessed me risking my life to save Chun Tao from drowning, saw me stay up all night catching mice for Uncle Li in the kitchen just to earn a single coin, and observed me stealing the Shen family's antique to sell it, then replacing it with a fake. Just in case, I even had my younger brothers smash that vase. Chunan was sold into the Eastern factory by his parents at age 5. Seeing how hard you struggled at the Shen household, yet never complaining, always finding ways to escape hardship, he often couldn't resist helping you. He bought the embroidered shoe pads you made. Though they didn't fit, he wore them every day. All these years, he's lived through bloodshed and turmoil. But you're like a ray of light in his heart. The look on his face whenever he speaks of you reminds me of the prince consort. That's the expression only genuine affection can bring. Remember 4 years ago, during the Lantern Festival, you deliberately lost the 5-direction brocade handkerchief to set yourself up. Chunan, consumed by jealousy, hijacked your boat. That very night, he told me he wanted to marry you. Originally, Chunan and you should have had a pure wedding. It was I who exploited you. King Dai, I hope you can forgive me. The princess explained that 10 years prior, she had the chance to become empress, only to face fierce opposition from aristocratic families and high ministers. They claimed women couldn't rule, utterly ridiculous. This world burdens women with too many shackles, yet cares nothing for our survival. I had no choice but to climb upward at all costs. The princess looked at me. King Dai, you understand only by standing at the pinnacle can one alter destiny. Over a decade, the princess purged the imperial court of its old guard. The Gu and Shen families marked both an end and a beginning. By the way, your dowry was sent to the frontier as military funds for the prince consort. Had Chunan not demanded it back today, I wouldn't have known 34 loads of silver belonged to you. King Dai, I've ordered the silver returned to the prince's residence. Will you join Chunan in helping me shatter old customs and establish a new dynasty? 6 years later, my daughter with Xiao Chunan turned 5. One day, this little troublemaker tore up her book, stood on the desk with hands on hips, and demanded of my mother, Grandma. My dad is the 9,000 years, my aunt is the eldest princess, and my mom is the wealthiest in the capital. Why do I still have to study? My mother couldn't give a proper answer and suggested waiting until the child was older to teach her reading and writing. The very next day, I dropped my daughter off at the princess's residence. Xiao Chunan looked furious. King Dai, and Ning is only 5. What could she possibly understand? Understand? At 5, you already knew tree roots tasted worse than bark. At 5, I already knew I had to fight with every ounce of strength just to survive with my mother. Xiao Chunan, what do you think she should understand? The Grand Princess's vision is a long and arduous journey. What if our generation fails to complete it? From the day she was born, Anning was destined to strive harder than others. You know well that every woman in this world must work tirelessly to stand her ground with dignity. Xiao Chunan dropped the act, cheerfully ordering Chuntao to move his bedding back to the east courtyard. My wife is right. Anning is far too lazy. She should live at the princess's residence for 3 or 5 years. He'd been itching to move back and sleep with me all along. I shot him a dagger-eyed glare, yet my heart felt sweet. This game of chess in the end, I won. The end.